Hey, what's going on, y'all? Jimmy Macram here. I'm not entirely sure what I'm calling this before I even posted. It's not really a podcast. It's not really a show.
What is it?
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
I would say it's me rambling for an hour, but I am going to be a little more focused than I usually am at the end of different things. Now, I plan to do this every 2 weeks, maybe every week. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to go just yet. What am I sure of? I am sure I have to get some housekeeping things out of the way first. First of all, as far as the CW shows, Flash and Arrow and Supergirl, that is going to continue. I haven't quit. It's just going to take me a while to get it back on the road. I'm trying to catch up. I have some Patreon things to do. And obviously, the current schedule we already have makes things a bit difficult. I have not given up. Stay tuned. Now, as for what's going on with this, this is not going to have a particular topic. This is not going to have a particular format. Just things that interest me and I feel like yammering on about, I'm going to yammer on about. Up first for this week, apparently Disney is in talks to buy 21st Century Fox. For those of you who are not aware, Disney owns Marvel, the Marvel properties for making movie and TV shows. Most of them, while some of them are over at 21st Century Fox. For example, Fox owns Deadpool and the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, while Disney/Marvel still has the rights to the Avengers, Hulk and Thor and Iron Man and Cap and Widow, etc., Black Panther, etc., etc. So this could kind of have all of Marvel back underneath one roof. Now, I won't get too excited about this because I feel like I've read this rumor. Not this exact rumor, but the idea of this rumor for years now. Oh! Disney's gonna buy Fantastic Four off them. Oh, Disney's gonna do this. Oh, this is gonna happen. And here we are again. Now, it's never been this grand of a scale where one company is going to absorb another one. But still, I'm not going to give myself too excited about it. But people on the internet are going completely nuts. They can't wait. Most of it seems to revolve around the X-Men or Deadpool and Spider-Man mingling. While those things are exciting to me, for me personally, what my brain immediately goes to is the Fantastic Four. First of all, they're impossibly underrated, and they've yet to have a really good movie. So they just deserve it. And that Hickman run, Jonathan Hickman, writer, he had on the Fantastic Four just made me fall even more in love with them than I already am. So, that would mean two things could happen. Number one, I could get my Illuminati movie with Reed Richards and Panther and Stark and Doctor Strange, right? And I guess Professor X if you want, right? I can get that. And number two, and possibly more importantly, the MCU is short on big-time Avengers level villains, right? Right. They kind of finagled the way with Loki, who probably shouldn't be, but the way they did it, it worked, right? And then they used Ultron. Then they had them fight each other in Cap Civil War. Or we get low. And now we have Thanos, the biggest bad that they've had so far. We're running low. We're running low on these people, so what do? We buy it back. Fantastic Four, which means we get Doctor Doom. We get Doctor Doom. We get Galactus. Oh, I can't wait. Eventually it's going to happen. Will it happen this time? Maybe. I'm not getting my hopes up too high, but that is where my brain went immediately. Speaking of Marvel, I saw Thor Ragnarok the other day. And I must say, while I had my concerns about the film, it was fantastic. It exceeded everything I thought it could be. It's obviously the best Thor movie to date. I think it's in the top 5 Marvel movies ever. It might be the movie of the year. I can't call it just... When I say movie of the year, by the way, I'm talking about superhero DC Marvel films. I'm not talking about anything else. Number one, I don't watch much of anything else. That's number one. And number two, it's what this channel is mostly about. So, I don't know. It's up there. It was fantastic. Once it was over, I was like, I need more of that. I need more of that in my life immediately. I'm not going to spoil anything for those of you who haven't watched it yet. But my God, what a fantastic, fantastic film. It was funny. It was smart. It had its moments of seriousness. All the actors did a fantastic job. It had some smaller breakout characters that I did not expect to pop on screen as well as they did. And it delivered on the action, which is all I ask for when I'm going to see a superhero film. I do have a question, if you don't mind. I think the next one I do, the next podcast / show I do, is going to be revolving around, because the Justice League will be out by the time I do the next one. And that's the last superhero movie of the year. So, the question would be, what has been the movie of the year so far? Is it Thor Ragnarok? Is it Wonder Woman, which is my early pick, before I sit down and maybe watch them all again? Logan was amazing. Guardians was good. I felt the first one was better, and I felt like Thor kind of outdid Guardians doing Guardians. And Spider-Man Homecoming was really good. The Vulture was amazing. And there's one more big one. I feel like I'm missing one. Spider-Man, that one. It'll come to me if I indeed did. But yes, I could watch Thor all day long. Hilarious. Okay, I'm seeing news. Disney may have the answer to Marvel's mutant problem. That's one headline. Disney baby by Fox. That's another headline. For a minute, it looked like the X-Men had a chance to join the MCU. That's not good. And from Bloomberg News, Disney explored buying Fox assets. Talks now dead. Disney is set to eye FX and National Geographic. Fox would have kept Fox News. Okay. Let's do a little bit of reading here there, buddy. Two sides aren't talking anymore. Great. Okay. Well, that kind of put a damper on things. Justice League comes out in just about 2 weeks and a half. I must say it's the superhero movie that gives me the most cause to pause. While I'm looking forward to that more than anything else this year, and was from the very beginning. Since BVS ended, I was looking forward to Justice League. It also has the most moving parts from directors with Zack Snyder, shame about his daughter, and Joss Whedon coming in, and then the rewrite, and then the change of tone from BVS. And there was how BVS came out, and then there was what's Warner Brothers going to do with it. Are they going to chop it all to hell like they did with BVS and Suicide Squad? Considering it's 2 hours and 50 minutes, I'd say they probably did not. BVS should have been 2 hours and 50 minutes. That's why the Ultimate Edition is impossibly better than the theatrical edition. Impossibly better. It's disgustingly better. Anybody who says it isn't paying attention. That opening to, if you haven't seen BVS for now, you deserve to get spoiled. The opening where Superman flies to said Middle Eastern / this African country and saves Lois, and then all these people end up dead, shot in the back, and then Superman flies away back, and then somehow he's getting blamed for what happened. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm Superman. Put my Uzi out, just start mowing people down. Ultimate Edition, somebody takes a flamethrower and torches them all with heat vision. You would think that's how Superman will kill people. Of course. Why would you cut that from the movie? It takes 12 seconds to show a flamethrower. Oh, makes me sick. I like the theatrical cut, and but it's an average movie without Batman. Without Batman, that's just a plain up, no bias at all. Without Batman, it's just an average movie. With Batman, it's a good movie. Ultimate Edition is a great movie. Without Batman, it's a good movie. But Justice League makes me nervous. The change of tone, the jokes. Is it all gonna fit? Have they done enough to set up this universe? It's built around a Superman that I don't entirely recognize who they're talking about. About hope and this and that. He made people see the best version of themselves. Did he? Didn't they just hate his guts the last movie? talking about him on TV, pundits yelling and shut up. They all come around with one doomsday, just brings everybody around. So even just judging by the last two movies, Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman, even that's like that's where it fits to me. It's either gonna be Wonder Woman good or Suicide Squad bad. I'm so nervous. I want to like it. If it's good, I'll be singing its praises because I'm going in wanting to like it, wanting it to be amazing. And you know what? Right now, after seeing some of these clips, and the runtime is important. Because when you try to chop up a 3-hour long movie into a 2-hour long movie or 2.5 hours, like, there's important stuff here. He had a goal. You're just asking for failure. So, with the 2-hour and 50-minute long runtime, which is still not long enough for me, I suspect it's going to be really, really good. Really good. Like, really, really good. I'm going to say it'll be better than Guardians. It'll be better than Spider-Man Homecoming. It'll be in between those two. They'll be like the lower tier this year. And then I don't think it's fair to put Spider-Man and Guardians together. I think Guardians was okay, but like clearly Spider-Man Homecoming was better. Logan was better. Wonder Woman was better. Thor was better. I think Justice League will be closer to those than to Guardians. I'm so nervous. I don't want to get too heavy on you. I mean, just talking superhero stuff. And now we're going to move into sexual harassment. But it's TV, and I'm interested in TV, and it involves my favorite TV character of all time, especially at the end of last season. Apparently, Kevin Spacey, I gotta be honest, touching this is going to be a sensitive subject, mainly because I've done absolutely zero research into it, number one. Number two, anything I say, anything I'm thinking right now is incredibly insensitive. I know that from the jump. And number three, it's hypocritical in so many different ways. But I want to be honest. Okay, so Kevin Spacey, some odd years ago, I'm going to say more than 10. More than 10, possibly more than 20. Again, no research. I know it was a long while ago. Was apparently engaging in inappropriate behavior with people, young boys. I'm not laughing at situations. Situations obviously very serious, but like I'm laughing at the how little I actually know about it. But I have an opinion on it. Not an opinion on it. I have a fucked up thought on it that I felt like sharing. More question. It's a question. Question. How fucked up is it that when I first heard the rumors, the accusation about what was going on with Kevin Spacey, and why they indefinitely suspended production of House of Cards. Canceled is probably a better word for it. How wrong is it that my first thought was, oh no, I love that show? Nothing about the victim, alleged victim. Nothing about Kevin Spacey's career. Just my show. What am I going to do about my show? Oh, I know that's wrong. And it's very hypocritical because these are like younger boys. I don't want to say young. I'm not entirely sure how old. I think I read 14, but it might have been 14 years ago. Again. Because if this was a girl, I'd be in a rage. I'd be like, this is ridiculous. This guy's a monster. But it's younger boys, so I'm just like, oh, that's a crime. Can we just get one more season, please? I know that's wrong. I know it. I know it before I said it. And I'm still saying it. And it's on the record. Anybody can find this whenever they want. But still, I loved House of Cards, especially after the last season. That's when Frank Underwood kind of moved out of a tie with Raymond Reddington for my favorite TV character ever. Sorry, I know it's wrong. Like Harvey Weinstein, piece of garbage. piece of garbage. There's no two ways around it. I won't say I don't want to see anything with them. That would be a lot of Tarantino's movies. But, you know what I mean? Like, just, what? Kevin Spacey, boys, it's a double standard in the way that double standards don't usually go. I know. It's fucked up. But it's happening to everybody. Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey. It's an odd dynamic that when it rains it pours. It's just once one person's under fire, it typically emboldens two groups of people. One of which I hope is larger than the other one. It emboldens people who have been abused or harassed to also speak out and say something. And that's good. You want that. As much as I love House Cards, you do want people to stand up and say, listen, this would happen. This guy can't get away with it, neither can this guy. Right? It also emboldens, I'm going to guess, liars. Trying to get some notoriety or some money. There's always like a couple of them. Not accusing anybody, so I don't know any of the names, I don't know any of the situations, I'm just saying, in general. I speak in generalities. It's kind of like Tiger Woods. One person, Tiger's an idiot, he leaves the message on the answering machine.
Hey, it's Tiger. I need you to do me a huge favor. Can you please, take your name off your phone? My wife went through my phone.
Oh, okay. Well, thank God for that. I couldn't recognize your voice there. You're only the most famous person on the planet. Please let me, and I'm fucking you behind your wife's back, please say your name on my answering machine. What's the worst that could happen? One person comes out, it just pours in from there. Bill Cosby. One person comes out, Hannibal bursts, makes a joke, all of a sudden, boom, 30-some allegations later. Just, hooey. Do anybody feel bad for Bill Cosby? I don't. Mainly because he said a lot of, like, things that should be, like, positive, but he's an angry old man now, so it just comes across as, like, ugh. Like, Bill Cosby, typically, his whole thing before the scandal was, like, the black youth today is led astray by, drugs and violence and rap music and, like, wearing their pants too low, like, yeah, it's first two, sure, but, like, really? Pants too low? It's actually a thing from prison. And there's a way to say these things where you're trying to uplift your people, but he feels like he's just trying to push people down. And the fact that he's pushing people down while also being a serial rapist, I'm going to say it's a tiny bit hypocritical. Just a little. By the way, there's still people, mainly black, let's be honest, who defend Bill Cosby. This is all some kind of grand conspiracy to tear down one of the greatest entertainers ever. And yeah, I'm sure, again, I don't know, 30 accusations, let's say 10 are lying. That's still 20 people. Let's say 15, that's still 15 rapes. Can we say 30 people are lying? Yeah, we're pushing it a little bit? I think we're pushing it a little bit. Actually, reading some of these comments for The Walking Dead. Has there ever been a more polarizing television show? Like Game of Thrones last season. Probably the last 2 seasons. But last season in particular, it felt like everybody acknowledged together. Whether you were a casual fan, whether you were a diehard fan, whether you were just a completely, even if you were like, they can do no wrong, everybody kind of acknowledged that something in the show changed. Like there was a dynamic that maybe they were too busy, it was too tight of a season, they were rushed by HBO, just something happened where they were missing little things that then became big things, like time. How did this happen? How did they make it this far? Why didn't they just do this? All these like plot holes just kind of running into each other when it had been so tight. The first porn joke? I'll leave it alone. So tight the first few seasons. Right? I want to so bad. Leave it alone. I feel like everybody kind of acknowledged that. Whether you still love the show, which I did, still fantastic. Just not the apex. Just not, it's not an A+ show anymore. It's just a B+. Just a B+ show. just better than almost everything on television. Right? The Walking Dead. It's like no matter what happens, nobody can agree on the show. They either think it stinks or it's really good. I don't get it. That's one of the things I don't get. That's one of the shows I just don't get. I don't get the what people want from it. Like some people don't like the you know what it is? It's a show that can't please everybody. I think because of its subject matter. Because it's direction, it's directing, it's aesthetic. Sometimes it can get a little artsy. You know what I mean? Sometimes it can be kind of redundant when you're going on for this many seasons, this many episodes. You kind of run across the same. This happens to Rick. Then Rick turns around. Somebody posted Rick's moral. Then Rick gets mad. Then Rick gets sad. Then Rick gets moral. Then Rick gets mad. But that's how the seasons just go. Which is a fair complaint. I never looked at it that way. Somebody pointed out that the Jesus and Tara thing is Carol and Morgan. Fair enough. So I can get these things. It can get redundant. Somebody said when it started being man versus man, they didn't enjoy the show anymore. So that means you didn't like it after season 1? Season 1 to me is my least favorite season. I want man versus man. Just happen to be with zombies around. I want Rick and Shane. I want Rick and Negan. I want, I was going to say Rick and, what were they called? The people that ate people? Terminus. Rick versus Terminus. I guess. That wasn't really much of a fight. More so Rick slaughtering people.
We didn't want to waste the bullets.
Is it on the level of a Black Sails? Is it on the level of Breaking Bad or a Wire or a House of Cards? I don't think so. But to me, it's just really good television. I could watch it forever. And to me, while the gunplay probably got a little, like, started to wear on me a little bit this episode, 3 episodes straight of just people firing randomly into another group of people. I enjoy that more than I enjoy the overly talky episodes. I don't get it. Different strokes, different folks. When you're that popular, it happens. Okay, now we got our entertainment stuff out of the way. Along with a slight sidetrack to sexual harassment. Let's try to... I don't want to get too heavy. Again, I'm not big on talking about... I'll put it this way. When it comes to politics, once you take a step back from all your politicians and all these idiots, like, just totally warped up in a... I don't say sheep, but in a group philosophy. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. How is everybody... not everybody, you know what I mean. How is everybody who is pro-life, right, also anti-gay, or also anti-gun control, or also, like, how are you all just checking every box? How does that even work that way? And once you just start to notice this, like, you're just picking that side because that's your side. You're just picking Batman because you like Batman. He's not actually right. It just makes you like, what? This is goofy. This is goofy is what this is. So, like, for me, there's certain things that you can be for. Like, to me, abortion. I don't need to be religious nor a conservative to understand why people could think abortion is wrong, right? I could just come to that conclusion on my own. I could be pro-choice and go, ugh. I can see how you think that's murder. I can see that. That's not a ridiculous idea to me. Anti-gay marriage? Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. By kinda, I mean very. So it comes around to football players kneeling. Not the greatest transition in the world, but again, it's all the same to me. It's about people picking a side just because. I don't need to be a psychotic America fervent person to understand why people could believe that kneeling during the national anthem is disrespectful to the national anthem or to the troops. I can understand that. I don't agree, but I can understand it. While at the same time, I can also understand why these football players, some of them, feel the need to do it. Though we do get into a conundrum about ego and perception. Like, I'll give you an example. Let me give you a quick timeline for those of you who are not completely immersed in it like I am watching sports shows whenever I get the chance. So Colin Kaepernick, a couple years ago, decides to sit during the national anthem. They didn't know this the first couple weeks, but then after that, they started putting a camera in his face, and the nation erupted. They were like, why, Colin Kaepernick, are you sitting during the national anthem? Sitting, not kneeling at first, sitting. And Cap says, it's because of police brutality. Here's where we go. He felt like his conscience would not allow him to stand during the national anthem. That, to me, is perfection. If you're going to make a stand or a statement, that should be it. That's it. I didn't feel like I could do it, so I didn't. Perfection. Nate Boyer, a former, I want to say Green Beret, and also a former football player, visits Cap at a home game. They talk for like an hour, and he wants to compromise with Cap to find a middle ground for them, where you're not being disrespectful to troops, and you're also getting your point across. You're also continuing to protest. They come up with the kneel, so Cap starts kneeling during the national anthem. More players kind of get into it, not a whole bunch, enough for people to notice that more players are kneeling, some are raising their fists, others are holding, locking arms. And it picks up more and more traction. It continued into this year, where Cap does not have a job. He is not signed to an NFL football team. For those of you who are wondering, yes, Colin Kaepernick should be starting for an NFL football team. It is silly that he is not. I'm talking based purely on talent. Of course he should be. There are not 32 teams, and then 32 backups, so 64. There are not 64 quarterbacks better than Colin Kaepernick. There might not be 32, to be honest. So some players are protesting. I know a lot of black people are going to fucking not watch because Cap didn't have a job, which seems silly. But then there's people protesting, football players kneeling during the game. But it's not many. It's enough where if you ignore it, it'll go away. It's that level of protest. It's not enough to cause any actual damage. So our president, my president, I'm not sure what's yours. You might not live in the United States. By the way, if you live in the United States, he is your president, whether you like it or not. Sorry. Not my favorite person, but these are facts. We don't get to choose our facts. I'm getting to that in a fucking second, too. Comes out and says,
wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
It causes, I don't know the number, but there is a significant increase of people protesting, and it's thrust right back into the news. People need to think, him in particular, people need to think before they speak about, first of all, firing somebody for not saying the national anthem, which is not a part of the CBA, collective bargaining agreement between players and owners, is, first of all, it's illegal. You can't do it. When I say illegal, I mean illegal to the current National Football League. And it will be silly. Like, this is supposed to be a choice. If everybody has to stand, how is standing patriotic? It isn't. If you choose to stand, that's patriotic. But if you're being forced to stand, you're just obeying what you're forced to do. And more importantly than that, it's counterproductive. What you were going for backfired, and now instead of no players kneeling, more players are now kneeling. So, and some owners even got in on it. Jerry Jones, owner for the Dallas Cowboys, knelt before the national anthem with his players. Shannon Sharp put it best when he said, this has nothing to do with protest, and it has to do with owners who are a bunch of rich, white, billionaire minimum level, right? Don't like being told what to do. especially from one of their own, which is who is what Donald Trump is. Some rich white billionaire. How dare you, Donald? I knew you when you were this little. I ought to suck you in your mouth. Try to tell me what I should do. I'm not firing my players. If I fire my players, I fire my players. But you don't tell me to fire my players. I fire them because I want to fire them. And this continues, etc., etc. So now more fans are getting upset. They think it's rude. A lot of them are threatening to stop watching the NFL if these players don't stand. They're greedy. They are childish. They are also animals. Yeah, of course it's going to get racial. So I'm not going to watch anymore. First of all, I didn't believe black people when they said it, and I don't believe you. If you enjoy the NFL, you are not going to stop watching because people are kneeling before the game. You're not going to stop. I'm just going to watch the highlights. That'll show them. I'll just give them my internet revenue. I'm not going to give them my eyes on TV. Damn, think I'm doing that. Shut up. Shut up. But it's safe to say most fans, I won't say most is strong. Quite a few fans weren't happy. An owner, Jerry Jones, came out and said if anybody kneels, the same guy who knelt before the game, by the way, Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, comes out a week later and says if anybody kneels during the national anthem, they're going to be off the Dallas Cowboys, which is also illegal. You can't do that. And if you're going to do it, you most certainly can't say it. You're going to do it because, again, you're inviting problems with the unions and with the CBA. This is not collectively bargained. You just can't arbitrarily do things. So the owners and the players are going to have a meeting, and they have it. And then the owner for the Houston Texans, Bob McNair, says we can't have the inmates running the prison. And everybody lost their shit. Now listen, is it a bad look for... How do these people get rich? I don't understand. Well, they think it's okay for an old white guy to say to a bunch of younger, 30 and under, typically, black players, typically 10 and up, that they're inmates running the prison. But listen, it's a phrase. That's why it didn't bother me in particular. He's just somebody who doesn't think. He might be a racist. I mean, he's an 80-year-old white guy. It's entirely possible. I'm just saying that statement in and of itself isn't racial. Or at least it doesn't necessarily have to be racial. It's just him saying something stupid. And he apologized. He didn't mean to offend anybody. He didn't mean to do this. He didn't mean to do that. He could have said anything. Inmates running the asylum is a much better phrase. Inmates running the prison, that's a bad look. And that caused even more players to kneel the next week. Listen, at a certain point, what is this about? What is it about? Cap says about police brutality. Some people followed his example. But then it just appears to be this kind of, you don't tell me what to do each and every week. Like, it's just a constant, no, that's not how we're doing this. What inmates running silent? I'm kneeling. I'm not kneeling for police brutality. I'm kneeling because this guy's an asshole. No, okay. Listen, is the protest disruptive? I guess it is, since people are disrupted. But in and of itself, you're quite literally not doing anything. I'm not standing in traffic. I'm not enchanting. I'm literally just standing here, or kneeling here. But what is the goal? If it's about police brutality, which is what Cap was protesting in the first place, I'm not entirely sure how it affects that. Does that make sense? I'm not entirely sure how it works toward those goals. Typically, protests like these are to bring awareness to an issue. But I think most people are aware of the police brutality issue. That's number one. And either don't care, don't think it's a big enough deal, or they're like closeted racist, which is my least favorite kind of racist. I have a list of racists. There's openly racist, which I typically enjoy. There is condescending racist, which is like calling somebody boy or something like this. Then there's like, oh, I'm not racist, but this. My least favorite kind. I recently saw a quote where somebody said, you've never seen a black, here it was, because you've never seen a black person in a suit deal with police brutality. First of all, why do I have to be in a fucking suit to not get shot? First it was, it doesn't happen. That's number one. Then it was, if you just obey the law, right? Don't resist. Which I agree with. Don't resist. That never ends well. As long as you don't resist, nothing's going to happen to you. We've seen several instances where that's not the case either. So now I have to also be in a suit and speak 3 different languages to not get shot. Alright. So on one hand, I find those people ridiculous. But on the other hand, this protest in and of itself makes no sense. Zero. None. Cap doing it because his conscience wouldn't allow him to do it is one thing. Doing it to try to do something about it isn't. It does not make any sense. It doesn't. Somebody compared this to like Rosa Parks sitting on the bus, but she's sitting on the bus. She has a problem with being told to get up on the bus, so she's sitting on the bus. So then a whole bunch of black people refuse to ride the bus, right? So then changes are forced to be implemented. I can see the linear thinking there. How are a bunch of football players taking a knee going to affect change in the police department or in the justice system or in things like this? I don't see the connection. Unless you think that you kneeling is then going to force rich white owners to like force change upon the politicians that they slip money to. Unless that's your goal, I don't see how it's going to work. I can talk. I can talk quite a bit. And I know I can get a bit wordy. So I have philosophy on things that I'd say this, I have like an opinion on everything. There's nothing I really don't have an opinion on. Here's an idea. Ready? If football players are really sick and tired of these old men, I don't want to say white, but like they're all white. Sorry. It's just facts. 75% black league. It's like 5 black coaches, a black GM, if that many, and no black owners in the NFL. So, take that what you will. If the players have a legitimate problem and they want to make real progress, then you have the funds and the resources to do it. It's like they always get the football players and basketball players. Baseball's pretty good, but football players and basketball always get completely smashed during labor negotiations because they have no leverage. Because I'm a billionaire, right? If we both sit out, right? You don't get paid. I'm getting paid. I have other things that make me money. I own sugar in the letter Q. I'm good. What are you going to do? So then you're forced to come back to the table and I win a negotiation because I'm willing to wait and you can't because you have bills. Why wouldn't you, whoever the most important player is, why wouldn't you, some of the more important players in the league, get together, right? Every player donates X amount of money to this cause where we're going to start our own league. Or at least have the money to do it, right? By the end of the year, they've saved $100 million. You do that by a certain amount of players, a certain amount of money every week. You can do it by percentages. You're not going to get everybody. Tom Brady's not getting this money. For what? I like it here, right? But you could get Richard Sherman, who talks a lot. Cat, who's also rich, etc., etc., etc. So say we're going to start our own league. If you don't start doing what we want, we're going to start our own league. Why wouldn't you just do that? At least have the threat of it. At least have the option for it. Yes, it's going to cost a lot more than $100 million. I'm aware. And it won't make nearly as much money as the NFL. But there are ways to gain leverage here. Or you don't have to touch your own league. You can just say, we're going to sit on it. We have the money. We're going to divvy out the players as we see fit. This amount of, you get paid this amount of money. We know you're fine for this long. Like, for example, Russell Wilson doesn't need the money. So it should go to the guy on the bench over there. And et cetera, et cetera. Or, if you have a legitimate problem with police brutality, then there are ways to affect change. There are ways to affect change in your own community, which I would advise, but I don't find it to be an excuse. which a lot of people use it as. They go, black people kill black people all the time. It's like, listen. Just because Tyrone stepped on my shoe doesn't mean you now have free range to step on my shoe. And just because I say, hey, you stepped on my shoe, doesn't mean you get to go, dude, Tyrone did it. That means it's okay. How? Where's the logic in that? Besides, when Tyrone kills Pookie, Tyrone goes to prison. Officer Raymond kills Pookie. Officer Raymond's on paid vacation. Not guilty. And again, it's not about cops. Well, it is about cops, but it's not about all cops. Most cops, even if they're racist, they're not going around randomly killing people for no good reason. I think we can all agree there. But that doesn't mean that you let bad things go because most people are good. It doesn't mean you let bad things go because other bad things happen in the community. It doesn't work that way. At least it should not. And lastly, but not leastly, I don't think, I want to talk about truth. That sounded way more dramatic than it should. But here's what I mean. This is Stephen A. Smith yammering on about nothing. Mac and Stephen A. are having a debate on weed. And Stephen A. comes to this conclusion.
Will tell you alcohol is worse societally and for the individual it certainly is no better than weed. In fact, it's usually worse, according to every study ever done. So studies.
That's his conclusion. Study schmuddies. Who cares about studies? I believe weed to be bad, so it's bad. Who cares what studies show? Who needs science and facts? Do what I want. I do what I want. And this has happened. First of all, he's Stephen A. Smith. That's number one. That's just an unavoidable fact. And number two, and slightly more importantly, we have to stop. If I convince anybody anything, it would be to stop pretending things are what they are not. Listen, I don't smoke. Not even a little bit. Not something I'm particularly interested in. Tried it a couple times. It's not really for me. So this has nothing to do with self-service. But almost all studies show that marijuana is not worse for you and is better for you than alcohol is. Alcohol is completely legal, at least in this country, at a certain age. Weed should be as well. Is it? Oh, it's good for you. It comes from the earth. Listen, all that stuff. All right, let's not pretend it's not a vice. It is a vice. It is a thing you do for fun. Unless it's for medical purposes, which occasionally is. But it is a vice. Like alcohol. Just to know, oh, there's positive health effects to alcohol. But you're doing it as a vice, let's be honest. For us to pretend or to continue to make legislation or to get on TV at 10 in the fucking morning and say stupid things because you were brought up one way, believing certain thing, and want to continue to believe it in spite of facts is ridiculous. It's preposterous. Now listen, I can be a hypocrite about this. I don't want if I had a kid, I wouldn't want my kid to smoke, or even drink for that matter. I know that's a messed up way of thinking, and it's something I'm going to have to deal with in my own time. I shouldn't be spreading false narratives out into the universe. There was another mass shooting, because America is what we specialize in. There was another mass shooting in Texas inside of a church where 20 people died. White guy went crazy. Well, I don't know if he went crazy, but he definitely shot a whole bunch of people. I'm going to say he's not exactly all there. And every other super liberal headline I'm reading is media refuses to call white guy terrorist. He's not a terrorist. Like, by the definition of terrorist, he isn't. Terrorist is like a murderer with like an agenda, a political agenda. He is a mass murderer, I guess. He is a serial killer, I suppose. He's also not a terrorist. If he then said, I'm shooting all those people because religion should be illegal, right? All right, now he's a terrorist. Now he is acting for a political agenda. Or like the guy in Vegas who was just sniping people from forever away. They didn't call him a terrorist because he's white. They call him a terrorist because he's not a terrorist. Well, if you create terror, then you're a terrorist. That isn't how this fucking works. We have words and definitions for a reason. Terrorist is somebody with a political, sometimes a religious agenda. Now, if he's shooting people in the head because he wants to end prostitution in Vegas, now he's a terrorist. Otherwise, he's just a guy who shouldn't have a gun. As far as gun control goes, I don't much have a thought on that. All I know is guns should be really hard. The mentally ill shouldn't have guns, obviously. Why that's not like super concrete with everybody, I don't know. It should be impossibly hard to get one. It is in some states, not so much in others. Children shouldn't be allowed to have guns. You should be at least 18 years of age, I'd say. You should be forced to take a test. You should be forced to carry a license. You should be forced, I guess I do have an opinion on it. You should be forced, it should be like a driver's license. Except maybe more than like, I'm not sure how often you take a driver's license test, but like gun test should be a little longer than that. Make sure you're sane, make sure you're all there, make sure you're still not fired, make sure you're not going to hurt anybody, make sure you're not a psychopath. Alright, that is just about it, I believe. Thank you all for watching to the end. If you have any thoughts or topics or questions you'd like for me to discuss on, I think I'm going to do this every week. This was rather cathartic. I enjoy rambling about things that interest me. So if you have any questions, comments, or topics you'd like me to discuss next week, I think I'll do one. Feel free to post those down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and I shall see you for the next video of mine that you decide to watch. We can just pretend like you're doing it in chronological order, even if you are not. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Unless something went horribly wrong, you should see your name here somewhere in the roll call. Also, the podcast starts on November the 6th, talking a whole bunch of nonsense about a whole bunch of nonsense. And for those requests, they should be coming shortly.